you can start drawing harder lines, or whether or not you just turn it off automatically. Like, I think with R. Kelly, our line is just kind of pretty hard drawn. I think that's it. Unless someone's playing it during like a family reunion that we can control, right?
But then I just death stare at him. I'm like, that's you're we're like in a stare off, and he's like, ooh, and I'm like, ooh.
That was like when I went to the B2K concert, and I was like, I love this song, but R. Kelly wrote it.
Right. What do I do? I mean, I think that's the deeper level of it, right? Is that there's also so many things that these people are interwoven into that we'll never know. Like, all the songs that R. Kelly has written and all the stuff like that. So, I mean, I think what our line should be is if we know better, we do better, right? That's what our line should be. And I think it's so unfortunate that so much of our joy is wrapped up around stuff that is fucked up. Like, and to a fucked up beat, right? Like, and then that's sucks. And I also want to acknowledge that, yes, when that beat happens, like, I'm dancing, I'm doing whatever. And I think at some point, like, we have to have a conversation around, like, this song oppresses women. Like, this song is not okay. Like, the things that they are saying about women is not okay. Like, not by any fucking means. Some of the stuff that Eminem says, like, is okay. Some of the stuff that, like, Trick Daddy said, not okay. Like, but also, how do we have a conversation that's like, Trick Daddy is so like a part of Miami culture. Like, Uncle Luke is a part of Miami culture. So I think that line to me becomes like shaky and wavy. I think that there's some stuff now that's like hard note, like R. Kelly. Like, we cannot ignore. We cannot ignore. Like, we can't ignore that.
There's so much irrefutable evidence.
We cannot ignore.
Still capping for R. Kelly.
Right. But I'm also like not too old to not shop at H&M. Like, I have the app on my phone. You know, so I feel like some of those things.
Do we still go to Target? Like, do you still go to?
Fuck you! I still go to Target. I got that app too.
Because I was watching did y'all watch the Killer Mike show?
No,
it's good.
On the first episode, he was saying everything.
Out there,
he was like, "I'm gonna support everything that's black." He couldn't have the iPhone. He had to ride the bus that was owned by a black company. He had to eat the food.
There was no bus that was owned by a black company.
He had to walk 45 minutes away from where he was from. He had to,
and even the store in which that was black owned, the produce weren't coming from a black owned farm. So it was like, what do I eat?
It's impossible. I mean, it's impossible to me, unless you're like on a farm, you own your own land, that you're growing your own things and making your own clothes and like not paying for FPL's electricity. Like, I feel like it's impossible to be that level of woke. And I also know that there's some things that we should do better on, and there's some things that like we should like disconnect from, and that we have to at some point figure out how to let go. Otherwise, it is just continuing to just feed into our oppression and just promote like just bad stuff. Like, you know, and I mean, I just think it's. Yeah, like I just think I mean
it's a real blurry line, and at some point I think that there's very hard lines, and at some point I think it's just futile to fight against it sometimes, right? Just like me, I don't say the N-word, right? But I'm not going to police anybody saying the N-word just because it's like, for what? Like, I'm not going to stop everybody from saying it. I'm not going to change people's minds. So why even have that fight? And then there's so many other things that we could be fighting against that I could put my energy towards. They're trying to stop people from saying the N-word. It's just not going to happen.
And I think some things also just aren't feasible. Like, when you think about black people and poor black people, right? So, like, even going back to, and I just think it's all deep. So, like, even going back to the clothes that we wear. Like, if we also want to be global citizens, number one, anti-blackness is global. And, like, the things that we do in America, in the United States of America have an impact across the world. So like us buying clothes from H&M like has killed people, and not just in a dramatic way that's like there's kids whose fingers are falling off, whatever. But like because of this industry that is selling clothes for $5, $10, whatever, these quick clothes, factories have collapsed and have killed hundreds of people in India, right? Because people they want the most profit. They're not fixing buildings, things like that. iPhones, like all this stuff that we know of. That's also just like if you're poorer and you want to buy something nice to feel good, I'm not going. So like there's an underwear company that I bought from one time because the underwear's so expensive. Like one pair is $24, but it's made by a factory of women that get paid a living wage. It's all sustainably green and all this other stuff. Like that is how they do their stuff. Is compostable, whatever. So it's like I can't afford to like
consistent.
I can't afford to do that. But then someone might also argue I probably could if I wasn't buying the rest of the shit that I'm buying, and could also support this business more. But then I'm more likely to go get more for my money from like Victoria's Secret or H&M or some place that like is a terrible global citizen, because that's more of what our people can afford.
Because we the leading group that spend, that we buy. So let me go business a little bit right quick. So this serious though, because Killer Mike said something that was deep. I thought he was tripping, but I had to look at him like, damn, he was kind of right. So he was talking about segregation. So he's pretty much saying that, segregation killed our culture, because the fact that when we were segregated, it was more business. I
looked the same way that you did when he told me that. What you mean?
Yeah.
But then when he explained it more, I was like...
Because think about Miami. Like, think about South Florida. You had Overtowns, you had Carver Ranches, you had all these black communities who, they was doing fine. Like, they had their own, black-owned businesses and stuff, and they were generating money. But now, like, when you see it, like, when segregation ended, he was pretty much saying that, which is true. Like, I don't like to go by stats, but it is true. Like, we only hold our money in our community for about 6 hours, while everybody else do it for days or weeks. And for me, it was like, from what I get from that is that I feel like a lot of us need to learn how to save, invest, and also like invest in our community in terms of like, okay, let's say my boy John, he got a clothing store. I'm gonna support that. I may still shop at Target, I may still shop at Walmart, but I'm gonna make sure that anytime I get the chance, I'm gonna support you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always first, because I'm not that type of person where it's like, I love my people, always first, but I also have other options too. But I'm gonna make sure that y'all get it too, because sometimes I get kind of tired. I'm like, bro, like, we could be the richest. We could be like it's not all about the money, but literally we could be the richest people in the world, because we create. Not only we create, but we buy. We do everything. Like, we run the world. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like it's some of us that's not, which is not their fault, because some of us is first and second generation college students. So it's like, whenever I talk to somebody, I was like, I ain't know about investment until I got to college. With me, I knew about saving, but I ain't really know about investments until like high school, college. So like, how do y'all feel about that? Like, in terms of like trying to keep it as possible in the community? Yeah,
I think that makes sense. I think there's not enough emphasis on like the economics of things, because I think if you boil a lot of it down, it's all based in like a capitalist system that is not beneficial to like our people as it currently is. I think as it ever was. And I think that we're actually the richest people in the world, man. It's just that all of our talent, all of our resources, and everything that we are is being exploited. And we don't currently have the capacity to take back control of those things. Like if you look at Africa, it's the most resource-rich continent in the world, right? Always has been. But most of the exports of Africa, about 90% of them, go to rich white people.
Right.
So and the people that's mining it, they don't get those profits like that. If you look at music and entertainment is America's biggest export. Who runs that shit? Us. Right? Well, we run it, but they
I had to tell somebody one time that just because Birdman has his own label doesn't mean that he's independent.
Right.
There is Universal owns his company. So the money he makes, Universal gets a piece of that.
Right.
And like even with like Kanye West's friend who like now designs for Louis Vuitton, like I was like, why didn't you just start your own design company? You have friends. Why not get your friends, especially people like, you know, you had Kanye or like all these other people who could have invested in your own company and you could have created your own clothes and sold for your people. And it was like, that to me is like what you're saying, like we have all of this ability, but who's controlling it?
And I also think that number one, black capitalism won't save us, and number two, I think that when I look at like the available headspace of white people to not only create but buy and invest in all this other stuff, like that goes back to your point about so much of our talent that's being exploited or like snuffed out, all of this other stuff. Like if our kids had time and headspace to just sit and make things, like every single time I see an article about kids that get the most scholarship money to go to school, it's black kids. It's always black kids. Always black kids getting millions of dollars in scholarships and all this other stuff. When you see like these really awesome things that are happening in other countries, like the brothers that were doing something sustainable with bamboo and all this other stuff, and it's black people. Right. But it's like, how much of us actually have the available headspace to be like, okay, this week, I'm focusing on this project. Right. Like, this week, I'm focusing on this thing. And then how many of us have the connections to be able to bring it to fruition and be like, okay, so now that I've created this thing, I need to go get a patent for it. Like, I need to go through this process of doing this. And don't have to worry about, okay, I have this idea, it's written in my notebook. Before I can go get a patent and get an attorney for it, I gotta work this many hours to like get the money for it. Like, ain't nobody daddy giving me $1 million loan to like take a gap year and create stuff. Right. Like, it's not happening from that. Right. Like it's right. Our like kids. Even when I think about like my own life and how many times I've either changed careers or in college was just like, I don't know that this is what I want to do, or how many times I was like one of the lessons I said I learned in 30 was I wish I would have taken out more student loans in college and traveled. Like, even if I just blew the money, like, being able to just have those experiences and things like that, like, I wish I would have known that. Or, like, to figure out how to take a year off or how to take 6 months off, a month off, and go somebody else and just sit and think and create before I go into the workforce. But like, so many of those opportunities just aren't available for us and our kids. Like, the pressure is go to school, come out, get a job, right? Even for me right now, like, my last day at my job was last week, and my mom was calling me like, you got another job? Like, what do you do? What do you mean you're taking a month off? Even today she was like, a month off, like, what, are you okay? Like, what are you gonna do for money? Like, what's and I'm just like, I just need some time. She's like, okay, now you can go on some walks and that, but what are you gonna do for money? Like, are you gonna be okay? So it's like, even in the times that we might be able to create that break for ourselves, like our parents, our people, us, is still worried about like, how am I gonna make it? And even my friend this morning was like, I know you can train and I know you can do all that, but don't fill this month off that you're supposed to be resting, like trying to make all this money just in case. Like, if you know your bills are covered, like, just take the time and do what you need to do.
I think I do that a lot, like with my best friend Takayla. I'm getting my PhD, and Thank you. I know it's hard, but
Me too.
John is too. He's getting his DBA.
Nice.
So yeah, that's where
that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, double doctor. That's really cool.
We will consistently say our kids have no options but to be great, even if they don't go to school. Like if you're just gonna go to school for an art degree, you're gonna go to school for an art degree.
Right.
Bet you're gonna be great at it. But for me, like my friends are consistently like, "Well, you're getting your doctor. Are you taking out a loan for it?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I am."
No,
But you're gonna be in so much debt. Okay, but at least I have this, and I consistently say like, and I've said it all these times. My degrees, each one meant something, and this last one, because I'm not going back to school after this. I'm done.
You should not.
Like